So today we're going to be doing a little bit of Oscar predicting. So let's get to it. Hello folks, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Now today we're going to be doing a little bit of Oscar predicting. I'm going to be going through, let's see here, 18 categories in a good amount of detail. Although I'm going to try and keep it a little bit briefer than my last video in talking about these categories and these movies that are nominated in this category. And I'm just going to go through each of these categories and give you guys who I think will win and who I want to win. Now the thing that I just want to preface real quick with these predictions is that I'm not going to give who I want to win for quite a bit of these categories, actually. There's only going to be a select amount that I'm going to tell you guys who I want to win personally. I just feel it would be unfair to talk about who I want to win because there is some bias there, you know, if I've only seen one or two of the movies. But there are quite a few where I'm going to talk about who I do want to win. So without any further ado, let's get to it. I'm going to be on my phone a little bit looking through these categories, and then I'll put the names up and stuff and who I think will win, who I want to win, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to preface by saying in the comment section below, tell me who you think will win some of these categories, who you want to win. This year's an interesting year at the Oscars because a lot of the acting categories seem to be pretty set in stone this year. You know, there aren't a lot that are up in the air, I guess. However, there are a few interesting ones that we're going to address. But yeah, so tell me in the comment section below all your thoughts and opinions on that. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and let's get into this video. So the first category that I'm going to address is Best Original Screenplay. And for who I think will win this category, I have Parasite. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna go too specific into, you know, like, it won this award show. I do know that it won the BAFTAs for Best Original Screenplay, but I don't want to give any like inaccuracies. I don't want to say anything wrong about it. I just know that it has won this category more than once. So I think going into the Academy Awards, it definitely has the advantage compared to some of these other films. I also have Parasite as being who I want to win. I think this movie, one thing that's very strong about this movie, and I addressed it in my last video ranking the Best Picture nominees if you haven't seen that. One thing that I think is very strong with Parasite is the writing. So I think that not only do I think it will win, I think it deserves to win this category, and I hope it does. Now, the next category we're going to address is Best Adapted Screenplay. So, who I think will win this category, I do think it's going to be Jojo Rabbit. Now, this is an interesting one because, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of categories that are pretty set in stone. This one's kind of a toss-up between Jojo Rabbit and Little Women. A lot of people are going back and forth. There's a lot of mixed opinions of which one will win. I think it's going to be Jojo Rabbit. This is a weird one because I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, so the only reason I think it will win is because of other people's opinions of the movie. This is also why I'm not going to give a who I want to win, because I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, I haven't seen Little Women, and let me check real quick to see who else is in this category. It looks like The Irishman is also in this category. I have seen The Irishman. I mean, again, I don't want to give a who I want to win because Jojo Rabbit probably is deserving of this award. I just haven't seen it. Joker's also nominated. The Two Popes. I haven't seen The Two Popes. So I'm going to stick with not giving my opinion on it, but I do think that Jojo Rabbit will win. Alright, so now the next category I'm going to address here is visual effects. Now, this is kind of another interesting one because you have a lot of people who want to see Avengers Endgame win this award. And it's hard to say that the effects in Avengers Endgame weren't impressive, because they were. I mean, Marvel always gives us really, really good effects in their movies. However, I just feel like we're so accustomed to seeing the visual effects in Marvel films that we've almost kind of become numb to it. I mean, when the effects really started getting good with these superhero movies, we loved it. We loved it. We loved, and we were extremely impressed by it. But we've seen it so much now that I feel like we have, in a way, become a little bit numb to it, and it's kind of lost its impressiveness. So I think it's cooler to see movies that really kind of set a new standard for visual effects, and I do think the movie that has done that this year is The Lion King. Now, you can say whatever you want about how good the movie is or whether it really needed to be made or not, because the original Lion King is so iconic, it doesn't need a remake. I don't think it needed a remake. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie either. However, it's really hard to argue with the visual effects in The Lion King. I have The Lion King for being the movie that I think will win and should win. I do think that the Oscars are going to award this movie for its visual effects. I mean, it is crazy to think that this movie is an animated film with how impressive the animation is. I mean, again, people talk about how it's you can argue it as being a live action movie because of how authentic the animals look. It's crazy. And again, we could go into the whole thing about how making them look realistic takes away from the emotion and the characters and all that stuff, the things that make the original so great. But that's not what this category is about. This isn't a category about what's the best movie. This is a category about which movie deserves the visual effects award. And I do think that Lion King deserves it, and I hope it wins it as well. All right, so the next category we're going to address is Best Original Song. So I don't know a lot of the songs in this category, and for who I think will win, I think it is going to go to I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. I haven't seen Rocket Man. The only reason I'm saying I think it's going to win is based off what I've heard. I've heard the song's great, and I'm not going to give an opinion of who I want to win because I just haven't. I haven't heard many of the songs in this category, so I'm not going to address it. But I do think I do think that song is going to win that category. All right, so moving on to the next category, and this is an interesting one because I do have an opinion about this one. Best Original Score. So, for who I think will win, I think this is going to go to Joker, and again, I want to try to give a little bit of credit to who did the score. Okay, so her name is Hildur Guðnadóttir. Again, I'm probably butchering that, but Joker has, I think it's swept the original score category. Again, I don't want to give any misinformation, but I'm pretty sure it's swept those categories, at least for the major awards. But the reason I said I have a strong opinion about this, I do think Joker will win this for Best Original Score. However, I would like to see 1917 win. And the only reason I say that, it's not like I've listened to the score side by side and said that, oh yeah, 1917 is definitely better. But when I was watching Joker, the score may be great in this movie. However, the score in Joker didn't catch my attention. I didn't feel like the score was the driving force in this movie. I think Joaquin Phoenix was the driving force in that movie. So, I mean, when we're talking about who deserves to win Best Original Score, I think it should, personally, I would like to see 1917 win just because of how impressed I was by Thomas Newman's score, and because I do think that score was it was a driving force for that movie. Again, if you haven't seen my last video ranking the Best Picture nominees, when I talk about 1917, I talk a lot about the score in that movie and how impressed I was by it and how I feel like the music in that movie really elevated some of the scenes. So I would like to see Thomas Newman win this award. However, it's most likely going to go to Joker. All right, so moving on to our next category, we have Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Again, I'm not going to give a want for this category because I haven't seen a lot. And also, this isn't a category in which I know a lot about, so I don't want to talk too much on it. However, oh, did I pass it? Oh, here it is. I do think this is going to go to Bombshell because it sounds like a lot of people are looking at Bombshell at winning this award, but we also have Joker nominated in this category. Judy might get it. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, I don't think it'll go to that. 1917, I don't think it's going to go to that. I think it's pretty locked in that Bombshell's going to win this award. All right, so the next category here is Best International Feature Film. And for who I think will win, I think this one's pretty easy. Parasite. Parasite's going to win this award. It's probably the easiest one to predict. If Parasite didn't win this award, it would be probably one of the biggest Oscar shocks of all time. I mean, I think it's pretty set in stone that Parasite's going to win this award. Who do I want to win? I want Parasite to win. I think it definitely deserves this award. Again, this is kind of hypocritical of me to say, though, because I haven't seen any of the other international films in this category. However, I mean, I'm not the only one that thinks it should win. There's a lot of other people who have seen the other foreign features in this category also think Parasite should win. So I'm not alone in this one. I think it will win. I want it to win, and yeah, I hope it does. All right, so moving on, we have Best Film Editing. And who I think will win, I think it's going to be Ford versus Ferrari. Again, I don't know a ton about film editing. I don't know a ton about it. I know more than some people probably because I have taken a class. We've learned how to use Premiere Pro, and I use Premiere Pro for my YouTube videos. So I know a little bit about editing in general, not a ton about film editing. But from what I've heard, the editing in Ford versus Ferrari is great. I have seen Ford versus Ferrari. I think the editing is great in that movie. There's a lot of editing to be done with the racing scenes and how crazy they are, and I do think it's a big part of that movie, so I also want to see Ford versus Ferrari win that category as well, and I hope it does. All right, so our next category here is Best Documentary Feature. Again, haven't seen any of these documentaries. I haven't seen any of them, so I'm not going to talk about who I want to win. I'm just going to say that I think American Factory will win because that's what everybody else thinks. But I've also heard a little bit of buzz about For Sama, so I don't know. But I think American Factory is going to take this one. All right, so our next category is Best Directing, and this is an interesting one because there are a ton of amazing directors in this category. You have Martin Scorsese, you have Quentin Tarantino, you have Bong Joon-ho, you have Sam Mendes, and then you also have Todd Phillips in there. It's crazy how much of a lock this one is because everybody is assuming that Sam Mendes is going to win this one. I also think he will win this one. It's just kind of funny to me that it's such a lock. But at the same time, you have so many big director names like Scorsese and like Tarantino and what Bong Joon-ho did. And Todd Phillips didn't do too bad either. But, you know, I don't think he has any chance at winning this award. But neither does really anybody else if you really look at the track record for Sam Mendes winning this award in all of the major award categories. He has swept this thing, and I think he's going to win the Oscar too. I also want to see him win this award just because of what he was able to do with the one-shot take, and that also goes into what Roger Deakins was able to do with the cinematography in 1917. So because of his ambitious approach to the directing in this movie and what he did with the camera, I do think he deserves to win this award. But man, this is a stacked category this year. It really is a stacked category. I mean, and that just goes to show how great the directing and the filmmaking was in 1917. For him to beat out a legendary director like Martin Scorsese says a lot. I mean, the directing in The Irishman wasn't too bad either. And Quentin Tarantino, I thought, did a great job with with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So yeah, I think Sam Mendes will win this award. I would like to see him win this award because of how impressed I was with 1917 and specifically the filmmaking. All right, so our next category here, this is another kind of a weird one because I haven't really seen a lot of these movies, or I guess I haven't seen the one who I think will win. This is costume design. I think this one is going to go to Little Women. Again, I haven't seen Little Women, and I haven't heard I haven't heard many people's opinions on what they think about costume design, the costume design category. But from the little that I have heard, I think Little Women has gotten quite a bit of buzz with what they were able to do with costume design. So I'm gonna say will win. Who I want to win, again, I don't know. Let me just look at quickly though the nominees, the other nominees in this category. Oh, here it is. Okay, so as for costume design, we have The Irishman is nominated, Jojo Rabbit is nominated, Joker is nominated, Little Women is nominated, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is nominated. I've actually seen a lot of these movies. I've seen The Irishman, I've seen Joker, I've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The two I haven't seen, obviously, is Little Women and Jojo Rabbit. So, again, if I saw Little Women, I'd probably say, yeah, I'd like to see that win because I think it deserves to win, but I'm not going to give who I want to win just because I haven't seen Little Women. So moving on, we have Best Cinematography. Again, I think this is Roger Deakins' award to win. I really do. I think he's pretty much locked to win this one. I would also like to see him win. Again, what him and Sam Mendes were able to do with 1917 is pretty incredible from a filmmaking standpoint, so this is his award to win, definitely. Moving on, we have Best Animated Film. This is another interesting one. Again, I haven't seen many of these films. I think Toy Story 4 is going to take this one, and it's the only one I've seen out of these bunch. I haven't seen Missing Link, I haven't seen Klaus, I haven't seen I Lost My Body, and I haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. So I'm not going to give a who I want to win. I really liked Toy Story 4, so I mean I would like to see it win, but I haven't seen Klaus, and I heard that's a great film. I heard all the movies in this category are great. So if this one's an interesting one though, because Missing Link won at Golden Globes, I believe, but Klaus won at, was it the BAFTAs? Yeah, I think it was the BAFTAs. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so it's an interesting one because Toy Story 4 hasn't won any of the major awards shows for this category. However, despite that, a lot of people still consider it a front runner. And that just goes to show that, you know, all of these major award shows during award season, I mean, it really, when it comes to the Oscars, yes, I'm sure there is some influence, and you can look at track records and statistics and all that stuff, but Toy Story 4 very well may win. Klaus may very well win. But in terms of like how much the previous award shows leading up to the Academy Awards really influence it, I don't know. I mean, again, it's hard to tell, but I do think Toy Story 4 is going to take this one. However, it's a very competitive category. All right, so moving on to the acting categories, and these are the ones that are kind of locks. The acting categories aren't overly interesting this year. So for actress in a supporting role, who I think will win, I think Laura Dern's going to win this one. Who do I want to win? I want Laura Dern to win this one. You guys know how much I love Marriage Story, so I think Laura Dern's great. I think she deserves to win. I also like seeing Scarlett Johansson get a little bit of love for Jojo Rabbit, although I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit. I plan on seeing it soon, but I like to see Scarlett Johansson get some love for that movie as well. So, but I do think Laura Dern's going to take this one. I think she's kind of a lock for Best Actress, or excuse me, for Best Supporting Actress. All right, so now for Supporting Actor, I think this one's going to go to Brad Pitt. I don't think this one's too shocking either. He's kind of a lock. Who do I want to win? If you asked me before I'd seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I probably wouldn't have said Brad Pitt. Probably would have said like Pesci or Pacino, because I haven't seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood and I haven't seen The Two Popes, but I think Brad Pitt's going to take this one, and And I would like to see him take this one because I really liked his character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, I just loved his character. I loved his performance. I think he deserves this one, and I would like to see him win it as well. All right, so now on to Best Lead Actress. For who will win, I think this is gonna go to Renee Zellweger. And again, going back to old hypocritical me, haven't seen Judy. So I'm sure Renee Zellweger was great in the movie. However, for who I want to win this award, I would really like to see Scarlett Johansson win for Marriage Story. Again, I'm sure Renee Zellweger I'm sure she was wonderful. I've heard she was great taking on the role of Judy Garland. However, I want to see Scarlett Johansson win. I don't think she's going to win, but if she did, I would be very, very pleasantly surprised. All right, so now moving on to Best Lead Actor. We're now down to our final two categories. For Best Lead Actor, I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to take this one. I don't think that's too big of a surprise. And who do I want to win it? Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, he was the best part of Joker. So I think he deserves to win that. He absolutely just carried that movie. He was incredible. He's everything I loved about Joker. So not only do I think he will win, but I would like to see him win. If anybody else but him won, I would be very surprised. Even if, I mean, I think Adam Driver would be the runner-up for this category, and I loved Adam Driver's performance. So that just goes to show how much I loved Joaquin's performance, because I thought Adam Driver was the standout in Marriage Story. But Joaquin was just so good. He was just so good. It's kind of unfair. He was just incredible. So I think he's going to take that one, and I'd like to see him take it as well. All right, so now the big dog, Best Picture. This is an interesting one because we have. Let me just give a rundown of all of the nominees. So we have, and again, I'm going to remind you one more time, I did a ranking of best nominees, best picture nominees, excuse me. If I can figure out how to do it, I'll put it in the description below. But again, I'm kind of new to the YouTube thing, so I don't know exactly how to work some of the things, but I'll try and do it if I can. You really should go check that video out. But as for who the nominees are, we have Ford versus Ferrari, we have The Irishman, we have Jojo Rabbit, we have Joker, we have Little Women, we have Marriage Story, we have 1917, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and we have Parasite. Stacked, so stacked. I mean, these are the best movies of 2019. They really are. I mean, I loved all of the movies that I saw in this category. Again, I've seen all but 2 of these movies. I haven't seen Little Women. I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit still. But the 7 that I did see, I loved them. I mean, my least favorite movie out of these 7 was The Irishman, and I loved The Irishman. So that should just go to show how difficult this is for me in terms of who I want to win. But who do I think will win this award? 1917 is the front runner. However, I'm going to go with Parasite. And again, Parasite, the reason I think Parasite's going to win is because one thing I've noticed with, and again, I don't put too much into the award shows leading up. However, I do think it gives you a good idea of how respected Parasite is. The fact that it's won so many of these awards is really incredible, and I think that just goes to show the level of respect that people have for Parasite. Like the level of respect that critics have for it, that just people in Hollywood in general have for this movie, that other actors have for it. So looking at that level of respect, I think Parasite is going to win this. And that's, I mean, I don't know, it's tough because 1917, it's 1917 has been sweeping everything. And it's kind of strange to me that 1917 is sweeping everything because it's a great movie. I mean, I'll admit it. And And if you saw my last video, I put 1917 actually one ahead of Parasite in terms of my ranking, my Best Picture nominee rankings. But that wasn't taking into consideration like what's a better film. Like I was ranking those movies based on like how much I liked them and how much I enjoyed watching them. Parasite from a filmmaking standpoint is exceptional. But did I enjoy Parasite as much as a 1917? It's really, really close, and it could honestly be a coin flip for me. But what do I think deserves to be the best picture of 2019? I think it is Parasite. I really do. So who do I want to win? I want Parasite to win because I think it deserves to win. I don't know. I'm a little surprised that 1917 is such a front runner, and I mean, could that be because of how much it's been marketed? Possibly. I don't know. Could it be because some of the Oscar voters haven't seen Parasite? Possibly. But I think it's a great movie. I think it deserves to win. Parasite. And again, that doesn't take away from how great of a movie 1917 is, but I would really, really like to see Parasite win, needless to say. Alright, so that is my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, these were my Oscar predictions. Obviously, there were a lot of award categories that I didn't address, and that's just because there's some of these categories I just don't know a lot about, so I don't feel like I should be addressing them. And some of these that I addressed, I still don't know a lot about, but I thought I'd give my opinions on some of these, and yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please press that big thumbs up button and tune into the Oscars tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm very excited. I'm excited for the Oscars every year, but this one in particular I'm excited for. First of all, Billie Eilish is performing at the Oscars. I'm pretty excited about that, but also I've seen a lot of these movies that are nominated, so I really, it's fulfilling to see these movies get recognition for the great things they did in cinema. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed to my channel. But anyways, that's all from me. I'll see you guys in the next video and keep talking about movies.